sending our best prayers, thoughts, and wishes to all the victims of Hurricane Harvey.
Being from Louisiana, we know how hard Hurricane Katrina hit us, and we want to just let you know that we're thinking about you. We're going to play for you Saturday night.
I was a Hurricane Katrina evacuee, and I kind of went through a similar experience.
Hey everybody, just want to wish everyone in the Houston and South Texas area best of luck, and know that our prayers and our thoughts are with you during this tough time, and hopefully we can get this recovery going on. You got our support.
Welcome to the Advocare Texas Kickoff, presented on ESPN by Geico. It's number 12 LSU taking on BYU, the Tigers, and the Cougars to kick off the season. It is the Advocare Texas Kickoff, but we are here in New Orleans at the Superdome. I'm Bob Wischusen alongside Brock Ewart. Allison Williams will join us in just a moment from down on the field. Why are we in New Orleans? Well, of course, everyone knows the devastation that has hit Houston this past week from Hurricane Harvey. All of our thoughts, all of our prayers continue to go to the victims in South Texas. And it's amazing how this community, obviously ravaged not that many years ago by Katrina, has wrapped their arms around this football game, around these teams, helping in any way they can. And Brock, both of these teams, talk about champagne problems. This is a football game. We had no problem relocating, obviously, here to the Superdome, and the team seemed to handle it well. Do you expect it to affect tonight's game at all?
I really don't. In fact, I think it's an opportunity for both of them to put on a show. Both of them love to hit. Both of them really enjoy running and hitting. BYU got to do it a week ago. They had a warm-up game against Portland State. LSU got so many young people. I don't think they know much of anything what's going on other than some really bright lights and an incredible opportunity to go out and play. I expect this to be the most physical game of the weekend. I think you're going to hear it. I think the players will feed off the emotion in this dome. And I don't know about you, Bob, but I'm ready to watch and play a little football.
It'll be an emotional night, obviously, on the football field, but the emotions have been running all week, obviously, Allison, for some of these players as well affected by what happened in Houston.
Both BYU and LSU made it very clear their number one concern this week wasn't where they would play this game. It was the plight of everyone affected by Hurricane Harvey, especially the families of players from Houston. And that includes LSU offensive lineman Toby Weathersby. He told me this week was chaotic. At one point, receiving reports that his grandparents' house was flooded. He gassed up his truck and was ready to head west on I-10 to go be with his family, but he stopped when he thought of his football family, his coaches, his teammates, the commitment he made to them. He said, as difficult as it was to focus on football, I knew I had to because it's what my family would want me to do. I just kept praying and kept pushing forward.
The stories, we have watched them chronicled all week, and Toby Weathersby's family among them. Amazing. The resilience of the people already on display in Houston. We just can't tell you how much all of our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in South Texas. And also, we are going to try to do our part throughout the game tonight to try and raise some more money via the Red Cross to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey. And our thanks again to everyone here at the Superdome in New Orleans and with both of these football programs for making this such a seamless transition, taking a game and moving it from NRG Stadium to the Superdome tonight.
I don't think there's any doubt that that prayer you saw Toby Weathersby on his bended knee right there before the game was for family and friends and loved ones, and having the opportunity to go out here and perform and go out and play and cut it loose.
BYU won the toss, and the Cougs deferred their option to the second half. So it will be LSU to begin with the football. A returnable kick for Darrell Williams inside the 10. And he gets all the way out to the 30-yard line before he is brought down. So a new look LSU offense. Why? Well, Matt Canada in his first year as the offensive coordinator. We do have a flag down on the play as we take a look at our Northwestern Mutual planning for success. And Matt Canada's signature on offense, there's a lot going on with his system.
Unnecessary roughness, number 51, receiving team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
So that penalty goes against the Tigers. So field position now working against Matt Canada.
It is, but I don't think it will change the philosophy. He loves pre-snap movement. He loves the distraction and trying to distract the eyes of that defense. And you're going to see lots of movements, lots of motions, lots of shifts. You're also going to see a lot of, I think, personnel groups. He's got young people. LSU is young everywhere on this football team. That may complicate a little bit of it, but he's got a senior quarterback, Danny Etling, that grasps this system, that knows the advantages of being creative. And I think, like a lot of the LSU fans, I'm excited to see it in action.
Talk about pre-snap movement. End around to Guice. The first carry of the season for Derius Guice. Stronger than you think. He grinds out about 6, maybe 7 yards on first down. Derius Guice faster to 1,000 yards than any player in LSU history, and last year led the SEC in rushing yards in spite of the fact that he began the season as the backup.
25+ touches in any way, just like that, a jet sweep, a screen, a sweep. No longer just lining up and telling the defense what you're going to do.
Guice again has a lane. He's got a first down. Zane Anderson tripped him up for BYU.
And a good mix of tempo. I could have added that to the planning for success as well.
Etling slings one outside to John David Moore, the former walk-on, who wears, or check that. Yeah, the former walk-on John David Moore, who is an inspirational story in and of himself. Fullback for Leonard Fournette a couple of seasons ago, suffers a season-ending knee injury against Alabama and is honored to wear the legendary number 18 for LSU at the suggestion of Christian Lacouture. For the first time, LSU's got 2 18s, 2 players that very much deserve it. Guice hammers ahead for a first down.
And no surprise, 3 of the first 4 touches of this game go to the best player. He's the best player on either side in this game. 250+ yard games to end last season. Very few in the SEC have done it. In fact, Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, it's an esteemed list that Derius joined at the end of last season. And he's dynamic in every way, inside, outside. And I think the perfect fit offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, with his skill set.
Guice again, stumbles. The turf monster got him. Gain of a yard. Well, Derius Guice last season in the 5 games that Leonard Fournette missed averaged 180 yards on the ground. So as he closed last season, the final 4 games of last year, over 750 yards rushing. He was the top rusher in America the last 4 games of last season. Cougars show blitz, they rush 5. Etling underneath, that's bobbled and almost intercepted on the carom. Fred Warner had a chance at it after Foster Morrow couldn't haul it in. So now it's 3rd down and a mile.
And Warner is a good one. He's one of the rare breeds you see in college football, a linebacker that plays every down. He plays their nickel linebacker because he can really run.
If LSU looks a little rusty, is there a chance we won't see that from BYU? This is their 2nd game. They got their opening game out of the way last week, beating Portland State in an ugly, kind of at times mistake-filled sleepwalking affair for BYU, but they did play a game.
And beyond that, Bob, they were nothing to play for as far as to win. I mean, everything to lose a week ago, everything to gain tonight.
Etling to Chark, and that buys some real estate for the punt group.
Shouldn't say nothing to play for. You establish yourself game 1, a new team, a new regime on both sides here. But you play Portland State and you watch that tape, and Portland State was the aggressor. They had nothing to lose. LSU tonight, 14-point favorites in this building with this home crowd behind them. BYU should be able to cut it loose.
Josh Groudon made the all-freshman SEC team last year. At punter, line drive, Tanner Jacobson lets it bounce. And it takes an LSU roll inside the 20-yard line. LSU, 3 penalties on their opening possession hurts them, so BYU's got the football when we come back. of thousands have been affected by Hurricane Harvey. They urgently need your support. Please help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to these families. Donate today by going to redcross.org/ESPN. Right across the street, they had a Red Cross fundraiser tonight. $5 donation got you a tailgate plate of food. So everyone's trying to do their part to help the victims of Hurricane Harvey. We will do what we can as well. First time to the offense for BYU inside their own 20-yard line, and they'll start with Squally Canada across the 20 for a gain of a couple. Tanner Mangum, the BYU freshman star in 2015, over 3,300 yards passing and 23 touchdowns that year. Last season loses the job to Taysom Hill, but goes nowhere. Stays on the headset, listens to Ty Detmer, learns for a season, and now comes back Brock this year as the starter.
It was a little in between, admittedly so, last week against Portland State. Not pulling the trigger with anticipation. I believe like he will tonight and like he has to against the Tigers.
Kavika Fanua lost a yard or two. The speed of that front seven already on display for that LSU defense. That's a true freshman, Tyler Taylor, who chose LSU over Auburn and Georgia. Came up to make the stop.
And that's a true freshman playing because Donnie Alexander is one of a number of Tigers, especially defensively, that is out for this game for team rules. They were not specific, but Tolliver is out, the starting corner. Alexander's out. Key is out. There is going to be a lot of new young faces playing for LSU defensively.
And Frank Herron, their main swing guy on the defensive line, also out. Third down and long. Mangum on a slant. That's a first down catch. Getting free is Micah Simon. Out to the 33-yard line. That's a gain of 13.
And that is a perfect picture of where I think Dave Aranda looked at the film last week of Tanner Mangum and said, that's not really the kid I saw a couple years ago. Mangum was one that would just get the ball out of his hands, and he was so aggressive. And a week ago against Portland State, he wasn't. A lot of press man coverage. That was some soft coverage on third down. I would expect LSU to come up also and challenge those wide receivers because Portland State had a whole bunch of success. But that's a confidence builder for Tanner to begin the game.
Play action. Here comes a blitz. Long throw outside. Modest gain. Read nicely by another true freshman, Grant Delpit, the number 4 safety according to our ESPN rankings. He closed fast on Talon Shumway. Maybe a gain of a half yard.
And when you have the number 6 recruiting class in America, seemingly every year, you can play true freshmen across the board at all 3 levels tonight. Pass rusher, linebacker, Delpit the safety. And we'll see the nickel corner Vincent as well, number 15 eventually.
It'll be third down and 6 as Aleva Hifo catches an underneath route.
And look at the number of players. Arden Key is out with injury, but look at the number of suspensions tonight. And this was held to the very last hour. The coaches had a sense that this was going to happen, that there was going to be some tough love. And when you're establishing a program, even though Ed Orgeron has been here, even though it is his dream job on that sidelines as well, discipline is going to be the foundation of his regime.
And there's Arden Key also out after shoulder surgery back in May, not ready to play yet. Blitz coming. Nowhere to go. Dirting the ball is Tanner Mangum. He wanted a screen. The ball comes out. Looked like he threw it forward. And now they are going to very late say incomplete pass, and BYU will punt it away. Corey Thompson was all over Tanner Mangum.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's a smart play, a heady play. A guy that's got a lot of experience.
DJ Chark is deep to receive the kick from Linehan. Johnny Linehan won 3 rugby national titles at BYU, so the rugby style punt effective inside the LSU 35-yard line, a 43-yard kick. Back to the offense for LSU in a moment. About the only giveaway that the Advocare Texas kickoff wasn't always supposed to be played. Here at the Superdome, you can see they didn't quite get the program changed. NRG Stadium, they just shipped all the programs from Houston to New Orleans for tonight's game, but it came out very early in the week that the folks here in New Orleans with the Mercedes-Benz Superdome offered up their services and said, we can do this for you if you want to move the game here. And it became the most logical destination with the Hurricane Harvey devastation in Houston, and what an amazing job everyone involved did in getting the game moved over here seamlessly to New Orleans. This Guice goes up the middle for 2. Well, Danny Etling making his 24th career start. 23 career starts between Purdue and LSU. Spent a couple of years with the Boilermakers back in 2013 and 14. Took over last year as the starter in week 3 and went 7-3 the rest of the way, and really came on down the stretch for LSU.
And did all that on a foot he could not feel because of nerve damage in his back that he waited to have surgery post-spring. He is a mentally and physically tough kid.
Guice brought down right at the line. It'll be 3rd down and long. 3rd down and 8 here for LSU. Etling, long throw to the sideline. It is on time. A 1st down catch for Derek Dillon.
And that's exactly what it was. Just zone coverage. BYU is going to do everything to keep it in front of him. Fred Warner is that nickel linebacker, and you see the safety, Tanneman. He sees it, he reads it, he's just a half step late. And Hanneman had to miss the first half of last week's opener because of a targeting call from the bowl game. But those are just the plays of anticipation right there.
Guice. He runs hard. At only 5'11" and a shade under 220. He is strong. And it is now 2nd down and long as he picks up 8. They'll take it again and set up 3rd down and 8. The career rushing leaderboard, and Guice just moved up a spot past Billy Cannon into 16th. He'll be well inside the top 10 if he stays healthy before this season's over.
It's been zone, zone, zone for the BYU Cougars here defensively to begin this game. They like to cut it loose. They like to show different looks. But I think they're going to continue to be conservative and limit the big play.
Etling, long throw, same route, same player. Derek Dillon, same result. A 3rd down conversion and a 1st down just outside the red zone.
That was the exact same play is the last 3rd down. The exact same play. Good coordinators come back to what works.
Guice stood up just shy of the 20-yard line by Matt Hadley.
I think I've told you the story before. Playing with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis, Tom Moore, the coordinator, the same play. It was a check with me, albeit, but it was the same play for 15 straight plays. I think sometimes you get too cute and you think, well, they didn't read it quite right. The safety didn't pull the trigger. He wasn't on it. Linebacker next time is going to get underneath it. No, make sure they do. Because if that concept was effective the first 3rd down and the same exact zone coverage there, they take advantage again.
Power toss to Guice. It'll be 3rd down and short.
He just falls forward. That's what the elite ones do. A season ago at Pitt, it was James Conner for Matt Canada. We saw it. A lot of these same formations.
Now a full house backfield. 11th play of the drive. Guice has a 1st down. 1st and goal at the 10. A young man that grew up on the streets of Baton Rouge. His older brother in and out of prison. He was 5 years old when his father was shot and killed. So he has earned everything that he's gotten to get to LSU. Stay on the straight and narrow, and he takes us to the end of the 1st quarter with a 1st and goal for the Bayou Bengals.
I thought I was saying something with 25 touches. He's on pace for nearly 50.
When we come back, it'll be the 12th play of the drive. 9 of the previous 11 touches have gone to the guy that's now on the sideline. End of the 1st quarter. He needs a break. Just about set for the start of the 2nd quarter. No score. It's 1st and goal, though, for LSU. And Derius Guice still hasn't missed an offensive snap. He got the break that he needed during the quarter break timeout. Back on the field as the lone setback. Jet sweep instead. Turning the corner, lowering his shoulders and getting inside the 5-yard line. Darrell Williams, 2nd down and goal.
He's a nice 1-2 punch. We saw him earlier in that power set, actually an excellent lead block. They asked him to cut some weight. He came back in tremendous shape. And that's dangerous when you can have 2 halfbacks on the field. As much as Matt Canada likes that, he loves that play. He loves shovel pass. He loves innovative ways to get those backs the ball.
Guice straight ahead at the goal line. That's an LSU touchdown. We talk about the versatility of Matt Canada's offense. All different types of personnel groups and tempo and pre-snap shifting. Once they get inside the 10-yard line, based on how they were lined up, not much mystery about what was coming.
Nope.
That was Guice right down the alley.
I think every high school team in the state of Louisiana has got 30 dive. And that's a 350-pounder he hit and bounced into the end zone. Told you it'd be his show, and he's starting off well.
First touchdown of the season for Derius Guice, and the guys up front made it look very easy. Allison Williams down on the field, and it's a 7-0 LSU lead. We played 15.5 minutes. BYU about to get the ball for only the 2nd time. Trinnaman on the run back. And he's out across the 25. Early 2nd quarter. Trey Dye heads in motion out of the BYU backfield. Back to throw is Tanner Mangum. He wants the bomb down the sideline. Man coverage, underthrown, intercepted. Greedy Williams getting the start in place of Kevin Tolliver. Comes up with his first career pick. The redshirt freshman looking like so many great DBs that LSU have before him. It's a turnover, and LSU's got it back.
And he's playing for the suspended Kevin Tolliver here, and this is a no-no. It's press man coverage. I like the idea, but this is really a no-no on 2 fronts. Number 1 on the quarterback, on Tanner for underthrowing it, but number 2, Bo Tanner, and he's their shot guy. He runs their deep stuff. That's got to be your ball or nobody's ball. And when you see that underthrown, you've got to fight, scratch, claw. You've got to tear at that defender. You become the defender. You just can't float away from the football. Give up a gimme like that. That's a minus on both grade sheets. And disastrous to put Guice back on the field.
DJ Chark on the jet sweep. Picks up 3. There have only been 17 defensive backs at LSU that have been drafted since 2007. That is some group of pictures in that DB room at the LSU training facility.
Dave Aranda's story, a good one. He says, we'll have 100 DBs at summer camp. 20 of them will run sub 4.5. I mean, Wisconsin, Utah, the other places he's been, if you get a couple kids that run sub 4.5, upwards of 20 every single camp, they can really run, and they play that fast. Even as a redshirt freshman there getting his first opportunity, they play, that speed comes to life on the field. Doesn't disappear.
Guice. First down. 8 more for Derius Guice.
Eventually, these safeties are going to have to come up, Bob. But right now, it is a little game of patience. If you're BYU, you'll give up 3, 4, 5 yards. You just do not want to give up the play action and the big shots down the field. But these safeties have got to come up in that run support eventually. That's Hanneman there, Anderson. They're active safeties, and you can see them right now. They're good 10, 11 yards back.
There's the play action fake. Etling looking downfield where the safeties used to be. Chark's got it inside the 5. LSU will waste no time. 1st and goal at the 2. They want to go, and they want to go quickly.
Go right back to what worked last time.
Guice didn't get there. 2nd and goal at the 1.
And Matt Canada could see the same thing that I was seeing up here. There was depth, but eventually those safeties can't help it. That you just can't. Ed Orgeron knows it. You run and you run and you run. Even though your depth is there, your feet are flat, and you give up that post right over your head.
Darrell Williams in motion. Guice, touchdown number 2. (14-0) Tigers. A microcosm of how LSU plays. DBU gets the takeaway. Derius Guice sets up the deep ball. Play action over the top to DJ Chark. And Guice finishes it from inside the 5. Looking at the handiwork of LSU strong safety John Battle. Takes photos when he's not playing football. He wanted his bowl gift last year to be a camera, and he puts it to good use. Actually created an Instagram page for his photos, IB Productions. He's got some talent.
Well, he's got the eye. He's also the voice of that defense. Dave Aranda very clear about that. He's the one that gathered everybody in the offseason. He's the one over the summer that really was the ringleader for workouts. He's the leader on the back end.
Jonah Trineman from the 2. Pretty good return out to the 28. Big opportunity here before halftime. Alan Shumway picks up 8 on first down. And Brock, this may be a game-defining possession before halftime for BYU.
Points. For that to be a touchdown, you're going to get the ball to start the second half. Points, points, points. The only thing you're thinking.
Mangum under pressure, scrambles forward, has a first down, and stumbles out to about the 34-yard line. Quick. Matt Bushman with a sliding catch. Just like Adnan, Kevin Shattenkirk gave his dream job a hometown discount. Proud of Adnan for doing that with ESPN. 57 seconds to go in the half, and it looks like a timeout is called by BYU. Down by 14, but moving the football before halftime. Under a minute to go after the BYU timeout. Only a 4-man rush. Mangum well protected. High over the head of Matt Bushman, his tight end. It will be 3rd down and 6.
LSU all 3 timeouts left here. You have got to find a completion if you're Kalani Sitake. As quick a tempo as LSU is capable of playing on the other side, you get the ball to begin the second half. You hold them. The missed field goal, as dominant it's been in every statistical measure in this first half, you are still within range, really on the road here. But this becomes an awfully big 3rd down to continue to possess the ball here in the first half.
Play clock at 5. Barely get the snap off. Here comes the blitz. Mangum over the middle, up the seam, low throw, and almost intercepted by Ed Paris. Tanner Mangum told us his favorite route to his favorite target is up the seam to Matt Bushman. He had what he wanted there, but just pulled the string a bit and underthrew it.
Yeah, I don't know if he did, but I would disagree just a little bit. You're right. He had the matchup he wanted, but he had a safety sitting right behind, and it limits the kind of throw. The ones that Ty Detmer, who you see him talking to there, did so masterfully for so many years. Can't put any air on it because that safety is sitting right behind it.
So a bad decision to go there with the football.
Yeah,
then?
I think so. Almost predetermined, it felt like.
The rugby kick. That Chark will field on a hop at the 15-yard line and head south instead of north. 38 seconds to go in the half. They have to take 3 of 4 to have any chance at staying in the AL East race. Leaping and keeping the play alive was Russell Gage. He picks up 9. And if BYU doesn't call a timeout, that might take us to halftime.
much fun are these wide receivers at LSU having? And all those names you mentioned that are in the NFL now starring, how many of them are looking at this tonight going, man, I wish I had jet sweeps and posts and outcuts and all this creative offense. And frankly, it's not even that creative. As I said, this has been just a handful of different plays, but the beauty in it, right, the simplicity of it, is you do it from enough unique looks, that defense can't find it.
152 yards rushing in the first half for LSU, and they've got a 2-touchdown lead. Back to the studio now. It's the halftime report. Here's Ad Manford. Welcome back to the Advocare Texas kickoff, presented on ESPN by Geico. Here at the Superdome, LSU with a 14-point lead at halftime as number 13 taking on BYU and looking like a pretty dominant team, especially up front. Bob Wischusen, Brock Heward, Allison Williams will join us again in just a moment. 152-4. Those were the rushing numbers in the first half. Is there any way that BYU on both sides of the ball via the line of scrimmage can turn that around?
Could be a real challenge, but is there any way? Yeah, you come out and you score. You have got to do something positive on this drive. But Kalani Sitake had to be very disappointed going into halftime. You may not have the perimeter skill. You don't have all the pretty athletes and the speed, but you have physical kids, and they were not physical in that first half. They were outmatched at that line of scrimmage, and I know that was the messaging at halftime, is to come out and you've got to be much, much more emotional and a whole lot more physical to try to match up.
Well, they will start the third quarter with the football. Jonah Trineman with a flag down on the return. Gets wrestled down out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Kavika Fanua looking for some room. A gain of 2. Let's check in with Allison.
We have to meet and match their aggression and physicality. That's what BYU head coach Kalani Sitake told his team at the half. Now, obviously, they've struggled stopping the run, but they're not going to change a lot schematically. For them, it's about how hard they play. The numbers don't look good for BYU right now. They're being outmatched in a lot of categories, but he said, look, we're down 14-0. That's not that bad, and we're ready to show we're a much better team here in the second half.
They come out with the big back. So they back up those words, and Fanua is a 220-pound converted linebacker. Sitake knows they have to establish some semblance of that run game.
He just limped off the field. Wide open over the middle, though. That's a chunk play out to the 30-yard line to Matt Bushman. Flag down in the offensive backfield.
15-yard penalty, first down.
Tack on 15 more as Greg Gilmore roughed the passer.
And for the first time, Tanner drops back and has a open receiver. Oh, are we in an NFL stadium? We're going to protect these quarterbacks like the NFL guys.
That becomes 32 total yards with the penalty tacked onto the end of a 17-yard pitch and catch to Matt Bushman.
Seen a lot more not called.
Greg Gilmore might not know his own strength. His off-season training program, by the way, he and Frank Herron, they take turns pushing his car up and down an alley. Old school. Squally Canada up the middle for a yard. Now, a couple of plays ago, Kavika Fanua limped off the field. Squally Canada was banged up in the first half. He has been able to return. KJ Hall left with what looked like a very serious arm injury in the first half, so he's not going to be back. So yes, there is a group, and there's Fanua getting worked on the trainer's table. It's a group effort at running back for BYU, but against a physical defensive front for LSU, the Cougars are having that running back group thinned out a bit by injury. Now it's Trey Dye who dots the I. Play action though for Mangum. Sidearms one. Dye finds the football in traffic and picks up 2 yards. Run over by Ed Alexander. Here comes a big third down, 3rd and 7.
I'm feeling like Tanner is predetermining a few times. This is a little naked, right? Little play action. Look at his fullback in the flat. He has him wide open, and that is 1-2. Right, it is 1-2. It always to that flat first, and then you come back inside. And I know why, because his clock is sped up, so he's trying to get the ball out and determine where he's going pre-snap, but you have got to read that progression all the way through.
With 5-man rush. Bullet throw intended for Shumway, and it's low and incomplete.
He had him. So they use Bushman there and they bring him across the formation. Again, you're just trying to change some of the eyes of the defense. And you do that hoping to get those linebackers out of the way, create that lane so you can come back to that skinny post. It's not the easiest throw, but that's one that you've got to put right on the belt buckle. That's one that Tanner can hit. You know, the flat route on the previous snap, that one on a skinny post. Don't get on Ty Detmer in the design of his plays. There's ample opportunity there, and Tanner can and should hit those.
Danny Linehan. Fair catch called for and made by Chark inside the 15. Etling, quick out to the sideline to Russell Gage. What's been the biggest surprise for you so far in this opening weekend?
Probably USC defensively, and the fact that Western Michigan had them tied with 6-7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter at the Coliseum with arguably the best player in college football coming into the season, Sam Darnold. Wasn't his fault, but they just could not play any defense on that side. And to see Texas melt down. You know, Ohio State, they got it going, hostile environment. Washington did as well. Rutgers, Maryland, a whole lot better at the bottom of the Big Ten. In Texas, yeah, Tom Herman wants to develop just the guts and the fortitude. You didn't see that in the fourth quarter.
Long throw and weaving his way for a first down is DJ Chark. Well, I thought that Texas's defense today, I'm not sure you can use a word other than embarrassing for how they played. I mean, against a Maryland team that should never out-physical Texas and outspeed them as well. As Derius Guice picks up 4. Think about Texas, a ranked team at home, trying to set a new theme, new tempo, new era with their brand new head coach. They get a pick 6 to start the game.
Yep.
They get a blocked field goal for a touchdown. They get a punt return for a touchdown. So at home, as a ranked team, you get 2 touchdowns on special teams and a defensive touchdown, and you still lose. Your defense has to be awful for that to happen, and they were. Second and 6. Guice into the secondary. And this methodical LSU attack on offense continues to mow down BYU. That's 12 more for Derius Guice.
And you start out with some easy pitch and catch. And right now, Danny Etling is 11-12. And then it is not terribly complex.
Etling off play action. Long throw to the sideline. Drops it in on a dime to Russell Gage. First and goal, LSU. Guice to the 6-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
And if it was a must to get that stop at the end of the second quarter, look at this game. I mean, this thing is flying. LSU's taking the air out of it. They limited possessions. They have shortened the game. BYU on the other side cannot get any consistent offense going. A touchdown here puts the Cougars in a hole that will be incredibly difficult to dig out of.
26 minutes to 11 so far, time of possession for LSU. Play action, Etling on a rollout. Extending the play with a pump fake. That's tipped out of bounds by Fred Warner. So it will be a short-range field goal for LSU. That's only the 2nd incompletion for Danny Etling.
And it was the right play. Yeah, there's not a negative on his grade sheet thus far. The timing, the tempo he's running this offense, and the efficiency are things you've not seen at LSU at that position very often.
Jack Gonsolin looking for his first field goal. 23 yards out. 17-0. The Bayou Bengals on top.
Not good. BYU, not good.
Short kick. Treneman. Shy of the 20-yard line. He goes out of bounds. 3 scores down now, Tanner Mangum. Just trying to get some points on the board. And that is a deflection at the line by Christian Lacouture.
Bob Coach Satake told me at the half that BYU needed to match the Tigers' aggression. I would say they need to do the same thing with their emotion. It is quiet. It just feels really flat on the sideline. I know they're down 17-0. It feels like they're getting beat by more. You can tell this team really needs something positive to happen.
Well, they need points, even if just a field goal, to make it a 2-possession game again and see their offense cross the 50, get into plus territory. A swing pass to Trey Dye.
Anybody that's been in football, and you've called a lot of Jets games, and you know with that feeling of just being suffocated, that you just can't get any air. There's just no big plays, and everything is difficult. And it's been that way when you can't run it offensively at all. I think for Satake defensively, and maybe it's the next series, they have got to start being aggressive. You can do and control some of that defensively with your aggression and your calls, and they have brought almost no pressure tonight.
Well, they're 1 for 5 on third down. They have 75 yards of total offense. When you have 75 yards of total offense, being down 17-0 feels like you're down 34-0. Mangum drops one in, but Talon Shumway can't hold on. Gary Vincent, a true freshman nickel, ran step for step with Talon Shumway, and it is another 3 and out.
And that's the play that you got to try to make, but they can coach at LSU. And Dave Aranda told me this week this is the hardest he's ever coached. And he's kind of digging it. Right at Wisconsin, a lot of gritty veteran football players came here, had a lot of seniors, 6 of them drafted in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. He's got a lot of kids, and he is coaching the details. And how about a true freshman going up and separating that ball right at the reception point with his hands?
Line drive, returnable for DJ Chark. Gets a step. Breaks a tackle. Still on his feet. All the way down to the BYU 37-yard line. Finally, the punter, Johnny Linehan, was the one that brought him down. Only a 12-yard net change in field position for the Cougars. Allison.
Well, Matt Bushman, the BYU tight end, experienced that firsthand. He was in 4th grade living in New Orleans when his family had to evacuate due to Hurricane Katrina, and they went to Houston to stay with family. He said how sad it has been to see their place of refuge, the city they found a safe haven in, now experiencing that same kind of destruction. And while he hates the reason that this game is in New Orleans, he did say it is a dream as a Saints fan to play here in the Superdome against the team he grew up watching, LSU.
His first trip back since he was in 8th grade. That's Allison Williams. I'm Bob Wischusen here with Brock Heward. Past the midway point of the 3rd quarter, and it has been all LSU. They have outgained BYU 340 to 75 in terms of total yards. And Derius Guice adds to that total inside the 25-yard line down to the 24 with another LSU first down.
You know, and what is so clear is LSU defensively is so fast. And BYU and their big linemen, they just can't target them. They just cannot get a hat on the other side. BYU is massive in their front. I mean, they're big guys, 300+ pounds, and LSU can match that power in that weight, and they are just moving them off the ball. When we've not called the names of Clapp and Charles and Ingram and Brumfield nearly enough, Malone up front, they've controlled this game.
Guice again. The first guy can't bring him down. Sometimes the second and third guys can't bring Derius Guice down. Another hard-working 3 or 4 yards, and now flags after the play.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 92, defense. This is number 92's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul of the game, half the distance to the goal, first down.
And that's the senior, handsome Tony Alu, who is now over on the sideline as he costs his team 15. And you snap your fingers, and it's just about 1st and goal again, just outside the 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for LSU.
And I guess if there's one area of focus, if you're LSU, this is it right here. Missed a field goal earlier when he got in the scoring zone, had to settle for a field goal, 1st and goal last time. This is where you could see some imagination come into play as well.
Or keep it simple and just keep giving it to number 5.
This feels like 5 out of the backfield.
Etling wanted the shovel pass. It wasn't there. He'll keep it instead. and slide down inside the 5-yard line.
And it was going to be 5. And it was going to be one of the staples that Matt Canada ran over and over and over a season ago when they beat Clemson, when he was at Pitt, his marquee win, really diversifying his scheme. And that's just yet another heads-up play. If you're wondering how Danny Etling was going to handle a new foreign language as a senior with a whole new system coming in, those concerns should be alleviated tonight. The snaps, the motions. I mean, it's been easy. This has not been the most difficult night to manage, but he's doing it flawlessly.
Guice inside the 5.
That was a nice play. Finally, Trajan Peely, the defensive end, slicing in, finally not letting those big guys get their hands on you and drive you backwards. That's probably my biggest surprise of this game, to be honest with you, Bob. It's just been stagnant. You know, Allison talked about emotionally on the sidelines, quiet, but the play up front has been so stationary, just allowing LSU to target you and move you.
LSU can pick up a first down inside the 1-yard line. Jet sweep. Stood up is John David Moore. And now it will be 4th down and about 1.5 yards from the 3. And without hesitation, and Orgeron says, you know what? Let's just take 3 more. Here comes the field goal group.
Nice job of containment there. Fred Warner, the senior, the leading tackler a year ago, keeps his contained, sheds the block, forces a field goal. It's about the only wins that you can give BYU tonight.
Second field goal for Jack Gonsolin. It's a 20-point lead for LSU late in the 3rd quarter here in New Orleans. Fans would want to go for it inside the 5-yard line on 4th down and about 1 yard, 1.5 yards. And into Orgeron, you can see, I think, taking the easy 3 just doesn't want to give BYU any reason to think they've got some momentum or have any belief.
That's a good thing you started talking, because I was about to sing Call him Baton Rouge too. It's about the most energy that you felt here, I think, in this building for some time.
Let's take Talon Shumway in motion. Play action for Tanner Mangum. Under pressure, dodges a sack, floats one to the sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Shumway. Ed Paris was there in coverage.
And Ed Paris ran the route. So I asked for a shot, they come out with a shot. Little play action, try to slow down that rush. But unfortunately, Ed Paris, well, he knows the go-to guy, Tanner Mangum. He knows it's going to be the tight end, and he can see the whole play developing in front of him. That is the advantage of having the elite speed they have.
How does play action work, or how do you expect it to work when you have 8 rushing yards?
You just hope to freeze young players in that front 7 as best you can. It's a decoy.
It'll be 3rd down and 10. Aleva Hifo, the intended receiver, as BYU has not made it into plus territory so far tonight.
Did that happen in a game here a few years back?
That's not something LSU fans want to talk about.
Oh, my bad.
They have crossed the 50 many times tonight. Unlike the game that you're referencing a handful of years ago. Mangum has won for his last 6. And only 1 completion on 3rd down.
And a man.
And sacked. A 3-man rush got there as Corey Thompson came on a stunt. Right up the gut, and the BYU offensive line couldn't figure it out to protect Tanner Mangum.
Speed kills, and you're right, it was not a blitz. Very sound on the back end defensively, shoulder pad to shoulder pad. Every defensive back was within those routes, and it's a sinking feeling playing that quarterback position when you just don't see separation, and it forces you into some misses. 2nd down, he could hit that basic cross. He could make that throw. But that kind of pressure throughout the course of the game, and every yard being so difficult, takes toll.
DJ Chark bottled up, maybe a yard on the return. Etling off a play action fake. Buys some time, spins, and picks up about 4 yards.
Just look at the study of the two quarterbacks. You've got one on the other side that everything is just bottled up, right? There's just no space for him in the pocket. There's no comfort level. And on the other, and this is like practice against the backups for Edling. And he's just holding the ball. He's got space all around him. I got a shot here. I got a shot there. I got an easy completion. And when you dominate the line of scrimmage, it makes everybody else's job easier.
Williams, first down and more, right to midfield.
Talk about speed, it's so noticeable. I love this. Allison, what you discovered as you watched practice with the Tigers this week.
Yeah, you know, speed is synonymous with this conference, with the LSU Tigers. They're actually faster, though, at this point this year than they were last year by quite a bit. Coming out of fall camp last year, they averaged about 16.3 miles per hour as team speed. This year, 17.8 miles per hour. That is a huge jump. And a big reason for that is the way they practice. Short, quick practices. It's really increased their overall team speed. You can see it on the field, and they're talking about it on the sideline, saying these guys can't keep up with us.
Yeah, and I think what you see, Allison, it's at every position. So I think someone hears, hold on a second, 17 miles an hour, what does that mean? It means that every one of these guys has a GPS unit on them. They track everything, the amount of energy and acceleration and their overall speed. And as a team to be at those numbers, that's astounding. And it has to be a focus. You know, Ed Orgeron said, you asked him, what have you learned? You know, what did you learn your first stint to your second? All the people you've been around, and less is more. That when you've got this kind of talent, these kind of recruiting classes, you don't need to grind them into the ground. Get those legs fresh by game day and let them just run.
Well, they have ground them into the ground. Literally, LSU with 215 yards rushing through 3 quarters. (20-0). LSU over BYU in the 2017 Advocare Texas kickoff as we head to the 4th quarter, and there is no statistic we can show you that is more emblematic of what this game has been. There's no sugarcoating that. 215-1 in rushing yards for LSU. Darrell Williams adds to the total. Another first down for LSU. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart and Allison Williams in New Orleans. And it has been a physical pounding up front for that LSU offensive line against the defensive line for BYU. Williams into the red zone.
I should say Edwards-Helaire. Can I also say right now, give me a couple red zone shots. I think here's your time. BYU is very content to just play their zone coverage or quarters coverage with those safeties. And if I'm Danny Edling to Matt Canada, I'm saying give me a couple, let me throw it in the end zone here. Give me a double post. Give me an opportunity to finish, because I don't like this red zone production and settling for field goals. Give me a chance, trust me, to take a shot.
Matt Canada was the only offensive finalist for the Broyles Award last year for the top assistant. The end around, breaking a tackle is Russell Gage. And he stepped out at the 10-yard line. Just inside the 10, it will be 1st and goal.
And Matt says, nope. That's why you talk for a living and I play calls for a living. All right, I make calls for a living. You keep telling me what to do. I'm kind of liking what we're doing. We're completely in control of this game. And I'm really not having to divulge my entire playbook as well. And won't have to against Chattanooga, and then Mississippi State will be out on the road. But you do want to find red zone touchdowns.
Williams to the 5-yard line, still on his feet inside the 5. Well, it does play into what Matt Canada told us his view of Danny Edling is. That, I think, is a microcosm of how they've approached this game. Said we ask him to manage and distribute and put the ball in the proper place to the proper player. That's it. said stay in your lane. I say it all the time. I say it to every player on the offense, not just the quarterback. But do your job. He said it's Bill Belichickian, and I get that. But stay in your lane and do your job.
This feels like play pass.
There is a play action fake. And Etling throws it away. Keep it mistake free. Let's see Oni Taki in pursuit. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
I give you a little tell sometimes when you see those quarterbacks go to their wristband. Right, it's a little, you know, those are typically a little longer verbiage plays, and those are the ones when you get down there that. And I remember red right tight close sprint left GU corner halfback flat because I couldn't remember it when I was a rookie and I didn't have it on a wristband. But those are the ones that typically take a little bit more to spit out when you get into the goal line or the red zone areas.
He's on the wristband here on 3rd and goal.
Just compared to like earlier, solo right 30 dive.
Play clock at 2. And they do get the snap off. Swing pass at the pylon. Short of the end zone. Is Darrell Williams. 4th and goal at the 1. And the whole offensive line is pointing over to the sideline, agreeing with the crowd, telling Ed Orgeron, leave us out here. We want to go for it. And Ed Orgeron agrees with the crowd and his own offensive line. They will go for it on 4th and goal. Clock winding down. Williams. And some pride shown by that BYU defense. They get a goal-to-go stop. Kairos Tonga, a freshman, led the charge for BYU as the Cougars take over on downs inside their own 5.
Well, they've been pushed around all night long, but eventually at 350 pounds, you beat a block, and for the first times, you finish it.
Well, the good news for BYU, they get a goal-to-go stop. The bad news, they have to start from their own 3-yard line. And they have been manhandled at the point of attack all night on both sides of the football by the LSU offensive and defensive front. And on 1st down, maybe a half yard for Braden El-Bakri.
And you've also lost 2 tailbacks tonight. KJ Hall with an arm injury that looked very severe, and we have not seen Fanua back after his knee injury. And what you do see is press man-to-man.
A rollout for Mangum in the end zone, has to unload it. It will be 3rd down and long. Ray Thornton was after Tanner Mangum in the end zone.
Dave Aranda, one of the best in the business. He is just going to have head jobs galore to turn down. Amazing. Last year, they gave up on the season 16 touchdowns. 16 touchdowns through the entirety of the season. 147 possessions, and BYU yet to even come close to the 50-yard line tonight.
Slant. And BYU very close to a 1st down as Talon Shumway is brought down a yard shy, and with 9:20 to go in the game, down by 3 touchdowns, you would think they would be compelled to go for it, but Tanner Mangum is trotting off the field. To me, this is waving the white flag here by not going for it on 4th and 1.
Got to extend that ball. You've got to have a feel and an awareness when you're at that line of scrimmage of where you have got to get to.
Fake punt. The longest delayed fake punt decision by Johnny Linehan you'll ever see. They do eventually end up going for it and come up a yard and a half shy. It is a turnover on downs at the 12-yard line.
Well, that was not a called fake, and you heard it right there. Kalani Stocky had a fun one last year. He called it fun. Said he may see some more fun this year. Nothing fun about that. It is kick the ball. There is an option there, but clearly, as you see Sataki, and he is the epitome of a player's coach. He's going to have the back, and he's going to support his guys. But there's a level of frustration. Kick the ball.
Handoff, Darrell Williams. Cut back at the 5. At the goal line. He's in. That's an LSU touchdown.
One of the themes in those rushing yards that we have seen tonight is the yards after contact. Put 3 more. Ooh, and that knee was down. We will see exactly if that ball did indeed cross the plane of the goal line. But yet again, more and more and more yards after contact. It's not just the big fellas creating the push. It is these backs running over and through a worn down Cougar defense.
And boy, that is probably about as good a look as we will have in terms of being right down the goal line. But the ball disappears behind a few bodies. And at some point to say that you have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call that's made on the field, one of these angles has to include the football.
But you patch those together and you never saw him extend the football at any point. And you do know when the knee went down.
Here's the review.
He's down prior to the ball breaking the plane of the goal line. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 1-yard line.
I agree with that.
Well, that would probably be 2nd and goal at about the 1-inch line.
Yeah, the NC State South Carolina game, very, very similar. Late in that game, under 5 minutes to play. And same deal, players blocking, referees blocking, but you put those two together side by side. That's the right call.
Darrell Williams into the end zone. That makes it official. There is an LSU touchdown. And that one leaves no doubt.
If you thought Matt Canada was going to come to LSU and throw the ball all over the yard, you thought wrong. You're not going to deviate from a style that has won you so many games around here for a long time. You will play elite defense. You will have more speed than most people you play. And you are certainly going to be committed to dominating the line of scrimmage. You know that's the way to championships. And it's the way to a big victory tonight.
Well, J.J. Robertson, the 14-year-old battling the chronic liver disease. At 1 year of age, he had a liver transplant that resulted in complications that left him in a coma for close to a year. And he is earning a good time on that LSU sideline. Speaking of a successful event, close to 54,000 in the Superdome tonight on 3 days of ticket sales. Because remember, this is the Advocare Texas kickoff, but it was moved just this week because of the flooding in Houston from Hurricane Harvey. Right down the road to New Orleans. Trineman upended at the 12-yard line. So poor field position for a BYU team that only has 76 yards of total offense with 8:08 to go. His defense has done some kind of job tonight. Slant thrown behind the intended receiver. And I think we asked him who his best conversationalist was.
Don't
on the
duck
team.
this. What is it? Go.
And I think his answer was Derius Guice. You know, go to the movies with Derius, and he's sitting there to me and my wife, and I can't get a word in it. I can't watch the movie. And Derius just keep on talking.
What'd you say?
And then I said, yeah, you back that up. I didn't quite catch that. You have to tell the whole story again. Yeah, he is a character. Those are the Brock Ewart and Bob Wischusen Coach Orgeron impersonations.
We'll be performing out.
It is time for the Allison Williams version.
All right, guys, here we go. We're going to have one team, one heartbeat. All right, there, we're going to play for each other. We're going to have each other's back. We're going to win this ball game. One team, one heartbeat. Here we go. Go Tigers.
God, I hope he didn't hear that. He was awfully close for that.
I think he's got other things on his mind.
Allison, you got some Cajun in you? That was amazing.
It's more about the gravel in the voice, right? Got to get real low. Got to get real low. One team, one heartbeat, guys. That's how we're going to play. That's how we're going to win this ball game.
I think the cartoon bubble coming out of his head right now is that exact phrase. 3rd down and 9. Tanner Mangum with a hookup. Micah Simon A third down conversion out to the 28-yard line.
We're 22 yards away from the 50.
.93 yards of total offense in the game for BYU. They have been outrushed by LSU 258-2.
This would be the guy, and they like to get him vertically if there is a shot to be had down the field at any point.
Four-man rush. Mangum steps up. That's batted down. Just lurking in the middle of the field was Ed Paris. He almost got a pick.
Dave Aranda really credited Ed Paris. One of these veterans, you have so much youth. As I said earlier to you, he feels like he's coached harder than he ever has, but he loves the challenge of it, of taking athletes and making them into really elite football players. And he was proud of their efforts last year with Jamal Adams and Kendall Beckwith, and so many guys that got drafted very highly into the NFL felt like they made some real strides. And now he's got some clay, some freshmen to mold here for some time.
Mangum with a shoulder fake, and down he goes. The ball pops out. I think they will rule him down. Rashard Lawrence and Greg Gilmore sandwiched him for the sack. Back at the 21-yard line with 6.5 to go.
Yeah, that's a technique BYU will use, where their defensive line will cut down those defenders. Watch them all in unison. They're going to try to cut down that defensive line. And that can work against some, but when you're playing the athletes the caliber of LSU, the Gilmores and the Lawrences, they see that coming, and they'll put their hand on the ground. Just the drills that they do. Hand on those pads, just jump right over and get right in the face of the quarterback.
Mangum on a rollout. Across his body, dangerous throw. Somehow squeezes it in. And it's Matt Bushman that makes the catch. And he took a heavy hit. It'll be 4th down and 6.
And here's that technique. You see, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen, and you're just trying to cut their hands down. Balls have been batted. You've just not been able to target them in the run game or protection. But the caliber of athlete, a little bit different down on the Bayou.
And once again, with the game well out of reach, Kalani Sitake decides not to expose his quarterback to any more possible hits. It's the punt group out there on 4th down. And that time Johnny Linehan wasted no time in getting the kick away. And it rolls down to the 25-yard line. Under 5 minutes to go. LSU looking very much like a top 10 team tonight, not just number 13. Clyde Edwards-Helaire out to about the 33-yard line, with Miles Brennan taking over at quarterback for Danny Etling. Done for the night. 14 of 17, $172.
Everything you wanted to see if your new offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. You wanted to see him manage, make good decisions. The ball was never in a bad spot. There was never a turnover risk. Manage all the motion, all the jet sweep, which is the timing of the snap and the cadence. Hardly got hit tonight. And the last time an LSU quarterback, 14 of 17, that clean and that efficient, in a long time.
Edwards-Helaire behind the line, brought down at the 30, a loss of about 3. Adam Pulsifer with a tackle for loss. It will be 3rd down and 4.
Maybe a lot of guys' heartbeats are pretty chill on that sidelines, but not a true freshman quarterback taking his very first snaps. See if he gets that mouthpiece into the mouth. That'll be a little tell after he calls the play, or if things are racing a little fast. Nothing like your first snaps. It's a college player.
A top 100 player on our ESPN 300. He set Mississippi high school records over 15,000 yards passing. And here an easy little check down for a 1st down. Freshman to freshman to Edwards-Helaire.
And the mouthpiece stayed in the face mask, and that's all right. Just do the simple things first, find your completions. But in time, I promise you, either the mouthpiece will get thrown to the sidelines or it'll go protect those teeth. But he's a gifted kid. There was some conversation. I don't know how legitimate really behind the scenes. There was competition, but he ascended. Others have transferred around him.
And looking ahead at what LSU has on the near horizon, by the time they take on Florida in the Swamp, potentially as a 5-0 team, they're going to be well up the board past 13th.
You didn't see a number of players tonight suspended from this game.
That's true.
I mean, you didn't see a starting corner, Tolliver and Alexander, the linebacker, and Arden Key, their best defender.
Yeah, that's 3 top-line starters for a defense that held BYU to under 100 yards of total offense.
And Arden coming off the shoulder injury, different than the other 2, but they're loaded. They're loaded athletically, and I'll tell you that I think if you're a coordinator getting your team ready for week 1, you just want to see them have fun and to play fast. And they did in every facet of the game and thoroughly dominated a BYU team that's going to be disappointed about those 60 minutes.
Matt Canada watched an offense put up 479 total yards, while his counterparts on defense held BYU to 97 total yards. About as convincing as a 27-0 win could be. Ed Orgeron starts off as officially the head coach of LSU with a very convincing win in the Advocare Texas kickoff. 27-0 LSU over BYU. For Allison Williams and Brock Eward, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from New Orleans. Sports Center starts in 15 seconds.